AJIB Podcast kembali, AJIB
Podcast.
We have to thank a lot to GAOK teams in Busan. It's really beautiful cities.
And it's kind of been a whirlwind experience so far. Korean people united. And one day I'll learn surfing, and that will be the day that I come to Indonesia. There's a new Lord of the Rings TV series. Kimchi, tteokbokki, Korean barbecue.
Whatever the food, the dish, there would be any kimchi.
You can't escape kimchi.
You can't escape.
There's no escape.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. AJIB Podcast kembali. AJIB
Podcast.
Oh, you're doing great, Connor.
Thank you.
Alright, AJIB Podcast kembali di edisi spesial AJIB Goes to Korea. We are in Seoul, right, Connor?
Yeah, we are in Seoul. It's beautiful here.
Beautiful here. Alright, Akang Teteh, I have already, saya sudah memperkenalkan Akang Teteh nih, sapaan Akang Teteh ke Connor. So I already told you about how to say some and call them Akang Teteh in Bandung.
Akang Teteh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite well. Alright. Firstly, kita masih berlanjut dengan apa yang kita bahas. Untuk pada kesempatan kali ini adalah tentang we are going to Korea. Particularly today we are in Seoul. I would like to introduce him. Actually, Connor, I'm sorry if I'm not good in pronouncing your name. Lavery Conor Brendan Loveridge. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, basically there's too many names, so Conor Lavery.
Okay, Connor is basically a really familiar name for us.
Yeah.
All right, Connor is from?
So I'm from Auckland, New Zealand.
Right. It's just neighbor of Australia?
Yep, far away from everything apart from Australia.
Yeah, okay. But even a bit closer to Indonesia, right?
Actually,
how many
that's
hours to Indonesia is?
I'd say maybe 6 or 7.
All right. Have you been in
I've
Indonesia?
never been. I would love to go.
One day, probably. We're waiting for Connor one day, inshallah.
Yeah, I heard the surfing's really good.
No,
yeah,
in Bali, in Lombok, you have to be there one day, hopefully.
I'd love to go.
All right, Akang Teteh, jadi seperti yang sudah disampaikan, Korean Heart to Heart, or we can say it K2H, fellowship program yang diselenggarakan oleh GAOK, Governors Association of Korea ini diselenggarakan di tahun 2022, 14 orang, dan salah satu di antaranya selain dari Indonesia dan tadi Filipina adalah dari Auckland, New Zealand, and here it is the man, the young man. So Connor, let's go. I would like to let you introduce yourself. Would you kindly introduce yourself? And I mean, what actually department you work for in Auckland, and you were just like a public officer or something else?
Yeah. So in Auckland, I work for the local government. So I'm a senior advisor in the Councillors Office. So providing advice to the elected representatives that govern the city.
Okay.
And so I've been posted through the K2H program to Busan, which is our sister city, Auckland and Busan. And looking to try and learn from Korea. There's lots of opportunities to take some of the areas where they're excelling in. So transport, housing, some environmental matters, and take those back to Auckland and see what we can do better.
That is wide reason. Connor's Korean language is much better than us, guys.
I don't think so.
You have basic things related. Anytime in the classroom, we learn Korean language, and then he often can easily do it well.
No, well, actually, I have my fiance is born in Korea.
Yes.
She moved to New Zealand when she was young, but so I have a further personal connection to the country, which probably
that's why
helps.
you love Korean a lot.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But your fiance can speak Korean?
She can speak Korean, but she's a little bit self-conscious sometimes because she moved when she was 5. So, but if I can learn Korean, then I can talk to her grandparents and her extended family that live in Seoul.
Okay.
And so that's really important, I think.
Sure. That is why Is this not your first time here?
No, I came to Korea 3 years ago, 2019, for a holiday, and loved it. And then when this opportunity came up to participate in the K2H program, that's why I jumped on it. And it's been amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So cool.
Anyway, we have to thank a lot to GAOK team and the director, the team, and many
so much
others.
organization goes
How can we say thank you in Korean?
감사합니다. 네, 감사합니다.
They will watch this, of course.
Yeah, of course.
It's part of our thank to them all, actually. Thank you so much. All right, Conor. So this moment is really in line. I mean, it's really you. First, in Busan, it's really beautiful cities. And another one is that this moment is like the moment for election in Korea, right?
Yeah.
So it's really you, right?
Yeah, it's a really interesting time. So I think on Friday was actually the first time that for the local elections for Korea that the people running for office can campaign in the streets, and so that's why it's really noisy in the streets at the moment.
Yes, that's right.
Because of all of the microphones and campaigning and electioneering that's going on.
Yes, that's right. It would be held in 1st May.
The 1st of June, I think.
1st of June.
And so that'll be an important day for a lot of cities. And Busan is the second biggest city in Korea. So
after Seoul?
After Seoul and the wider metropolitan Seoul area, Busan has about 3.4 million people. And so it's an important city for Korea as a whole.
All right. So you've been here since 12th of April, right?
Yeah, I had a long trip from New Zealand, and I arrived on the 13th of April.
Oh, 13th,
and
yes.
It's kind of been a whirlwind experience so far, but it's been amazing, and I've been incredibly comfortable, as you would have experienced as well, with the hospitality of the Korean people.
Yes, exactly. We feel that. Oh, my goodness. We can learn a lot of things, practices, cultures, and whole things, right? We have been in, what is that? How can we say it? Yesterday we went to, what is that? Just like how the history.
The industrial history of Korea's development, how it came from an incredibly poor country after the Korean War, and how it got to where it is now, and through all of the hard work and sacrifice of the Korean people united. It's an incredibly impressive performance. But I think they did say that it came at a cost. So as a whole, the Korean society grew really strong and prosperous, but it comes at an individual cost in terms of the hard work and the sacrifice to those, because it's so competitive, at those who couldn't make it. So it's a positive and a negative, I think, that mindset.
I have heard even with one of my friends from Korea a couple of days ago, he said that it's a bit challenge as well as what you say, that high competitive
absolutely
lifestyle.
There's a lot of pressure on I think young people as well, because especially they feel that their parents and older generations sacrificed so much for them to have the opportunities that they have now, and for them to live up to those experiences, those expectations is difficult, I think, for the young people.
Okay, what you have learned, I mean, you can compare to New Zealand, particularly in Auckland, and here, after you've been here for almost 2 months, almost 2 months.
I'd say so. 6 weeks.
Yeah,
I've lost count. I feels like
because you enjoy that.
Yeah, time flies. Yeah,
time flies.
I've learned a lot actually. I think so. There's a lot of issues that many countries are facing around the world, and looking at housing affordability, looking at climate change, and looking at transport. And so, in particular, Auckland, which is a really cool city. So, if anyone hasn't visited Auckland and wants to come,
I have to.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful city.
Yes.
But it does have some challenges. And Auckland's a very diverse city because it's growing quickly, and we have lots of people from all over the world living in Auckland. So nearly half of the percentage of Aucklanders were born overseas, and we've grown over the last 20 years 40% in population growth. And so that's presented a lot of challenges with housing supply, transport, and we haven't quite invested enough. So looking at, and you would have seen it as well in Ulsan, the efficient housing that the Koreans have developed, and where you can have all services within a 15-minute walk. So, you're living in a high-density development, you've got a supermarket, you've got a school, you've got a place to go get coffee, and all within a convenient walking distance, as well as the efficient metro. And so potentially in Indonesia, that may be more common, but in New Zealand, we haven't quite got to that level of that modern city, because we've been kind of constrained by a single housing development. So it's more that urban sprawl model. So that's one example of one of the things that we could learn a lot from.
Everybody has their own characters, right?
That's right.
Oh, one day we have to go to Auckland.
Yeah, you have to come. It's a beautiful city. It's there's hundreds of beaches. There's lots of coastline, beautiful environment, and it's amazing.
Yeah, you love surfing, you said.
I love the idea of surfing. I love swimming. I really love swimming.
All right.
Yeah, we have many beaches in Auckland, and I'm often going for a swim. And one day I'll learn surfing, and that will be the day that I come to Indonesia.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
That is thing. All right. So what you think that is in also Busan and Auckland has a sister city.
It's
just particularly related to the election.
Well, there's some shared similarities between Auckland and Busan. Busan is one of the biggest ports in the world, trade and container shipping. And Busan is also is kind of the film or the screen sector hub for South Korea. So there's a lot of films are shot and movies are made in Busan. And then Auckland, likewise, is it's a city which has a port in the city centre, and is which is in New Zealand. It's the biggest city and also the biggest trade and container shipping port. And we also have a big focus on the screen sector. So I think where Auckland is the home of film in the Pacific, and receiving lots of series being shot. Actually, there's a new Lord of the Rings TV series, which has just been finished. So that will come out later this year, 2022, and that was shot in Auckland. So those are a couple of the similarities between Auckland and Busan, and opportunities for the two sister cities to collaborate and share learning. And there are other sectors as well.
Sure. By the way, we have heard a lot of things, like just our colleagues, our friends from other countries here in our fellowship program often asked quite often, what is exactly on your mind when you firstly come to Korea?
Well, it's kind of crazy, actually, and also because of COVID, a lot of the world, I guess, had been stuck in your own countries with international travel kind of stopped, and so the last few years have been very concentrated for me in New Zealand. Dealing with COVID, working with the local government has been quite busy managing the COVID response. And so coming to Korea was kind of like a big wake up to the rest of the world. And there's so much energy as well that it's kind of it was like a breath of life coming to Korea. And it sort of took a wee while to sort of realize that it was real, because it's quite a change in lifestyle from New Zealand, but it's been amazing. And and actually the first thing that I think I probably would have noticed is just the incredible hospitality of the Korean culture. Exactly. And so I didn't have an opportunity to feel homesick or shocked, because I was immediately wrapped up in the hospitality, which I'm sure you would have received in Ulsan as well.
Yes. I think we have the same thing related to how Korean people deal with us. Yes. And we often also heard about Korean waves, K-pop. Korean drama, and also, of course, the technology. We lots of abundance of huge mobile phone, and also all the electrical things, utensils we can use often at household. It's related come from even cars, right? Vehicles. It's lots of things we have learned, and then as what you say that it is within years, right?
Yeah, no, it's incredible, the transformation. And so you have the soft power influence of the culture. So through K-pop, K-dramas, all over the world, Korea exporting their distinctly Korean culture. And then through those physical products as well, they have made a huge mark on the world. And even so in New Zealand, in Auckland, we have a big Korean population as well, because we received a lot of Korean migrants during the economic challenges of the 1990s for Korea. And in New Zealand, they contribute hugely to the cultural diversity and prosperity, and particularly food. Actually, Korean food is amazing. That's another thing which I've loved since arriving, and that's another thing that's been exported to the world, and I think is actually becoming quite fashionable. Kimchi, tteokbokki, Korean barbecue. Yeah,
whatever the food dish, there would be any kimchi.
Yeah, that's right. You can't escape kimchi.
You can't escape.
There's no escape.
Wherever you go, even yesterday, when you go to the booth and then the kimchi.
There'll be kimchi there. Yes. You can. That's one thing you can always count on. But actually, I love kimchi. So
Yes.
I'm very comfortable.
And probably we often ask women, often ask why they always look young.
So
probably that's one of the secrets.
Yeah, there's something about that. I think it's some sort of magic or something. But actually, you also look quite young. So
really?
It's not just a Korean thing, but I think you can never guess a Korean person's age because you'll be shocked. But there might be, if there's something in the water, I need to drink as much water as possible.
That is the thing. Conor give us the tips.
I mean, if you see the sun is really strong in New Zealand, it doesn't do wonders to your skin, unfortunately. But Koreans, amazing, and so stylish as well. Actually, that's another big thing, and everybody's kind of on the same trend, the same styles.
By the way, will you think you will be influenced by the style of Korean people here?
I think so.
Oh, really?
I think it's hard not to, because I think you kind of stand out if you. I mean, there's no way that I can look Korean, unfortunately, but I could try. You
don't have to.
I think actually it might be more sad if I tried. So I think I'll pick up little bits and pieces. I think they have I mean, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but the Korean fashion's very clean, tidy,
clean.
Very handsome, pretty. It's so. I could take little bits and pieces, but I can't recreate it.
Don't worry. I can capture. You did well yesterday with the suit.
Oh, the suit,
It's just like Korean style anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I have to do lots of shopping. It actually sold, and the shop's open so late here as well.
Let's go. We did shopping.
Oh, anyway. You've been shopping. And did you get anything? Did you find some Korean clothes?
Fancy.
Fancy. Oh, nice. Well, that's good.
We did. Akang Teteh, jadi tadi malam kita karena I would give any subtitle there for them, but once in a while I give any other. Akang Teteh di Korea itu kata Conor adalah belanjanya itu biasa late at night gitu, sampai tengah malam masih buka mall, pasar-pasar. Jadi tadi malam kita buktikan dan ternyata betul itu adanya, masih pada buka dan choices a lot. There's you prefer to even the costly one or even cheaper one. You can go on with that. Jadi banyak pilihan dan betul Korean people stylish katanya. And Conor and me also, it's hard not to be influenced by the Korean style. Probably that is the thing. All right. By the way, Conor, I a bit asked about New Zealand. It is as we know that we are public officer, let's say public servant. May I know a bit about how actually the New Zealand select people to be the public servant or public officer? Is there any selection or something?
So I guess one thing that struck me about being in Korea is the huge respect that the public has for public officers, and the prestige that comes with that role, which is because of the hard exams that you need to get into those roles. In New Zealand, it's a little bit different. So there's no it's not like in Korea where you have to pass an exam to become eligible for that public officer role. There are so obviously we have the central government. I work for the local government. So for Auckland, that's a region and a city of 1.7 million. And you can basically apply for jobs as they come up, and you get you get determined through your experience and your qualifications. So it's sort of like any job. I actually came from central government. I was working in the justice sector, so I was working for the Ministry of Justice, and I think in Korea it's much harder to transition from central government to the city governments or the local governments. But in New Zealand, it's pretty easy. I'm not sure how is it in Indonesia.
It's just like in Korea.
Like yeah. So and so I think that's probably a really good system in terms of getting really high quality, talented and passionate people into those roles. And I think that's something that New Zealand could look at doing. But at the moment, it's quite a different system, I'd say.
Right. So, you know what? In Indonesia, probably in Korea as well, to be the public officer is something really, not everybody's, mostly people dreams.
Yeah, definitely.
It's quite hard as well to be into with the selection or anything requirements. That is a lot of things. And so in New Zealand, it's not like...
It's not like that. So there are many different types of roles within the public service, and some will be more... highly esteemed or sought after than others, but it's quite different to how it is in Indonesia and in Korea. But for example, with Auckland Council, often I guess you have the private sector, working for a business, or you choose to work for the public sector. There might be benefits from working in the public sector that you don't have in the private sector, and that might be more job security, that might be more sort of work-life balance, and the providing a great place to work and to train and get more experience, but it's quite different.
All right, it's quite different. Tuh Akang Teteh, tadi kita tanya nih, kalau PNS itu ASN lah ya, kurang lebih di Korea dengan di Indonesia itu likely similar gitu. Jadi akan ada sedikit kesamaan bahwa being public servant atau public officer itu jadi dambaan kebanyakan orang, tapi beda dengan di Auckland atau di New Zealand, katanya tidak seperti itu. Jadi memang ada banyak hal perbedaan-perbedaan. Alright, thank you Conor.
Thank you so much
for the conversation.
It's a pleasure.
Enlightened us to let us know about a bit about New Zealand. Hopefully. We still have time until you will finish until July. Hopefully, I will go to Busan and then we can talk many things.
Actually, Busan's beautiful. Busan. People need to come to Busan. Probably more than New Zealand, I think.
Yes. With the beach, right?
So many beaches, mountains, skyscrapers.
Perfect.
It's got everything. It really does.
Let's go to Busan.
Come.
It's 30 minutes from Ulsan. I'm in Ulsan.
Yeah, it's close. Actually, it's close for you. So you've got no excuse not to come.
Sure. All right, Akang Teteh, thank you ya. Conor already sent us give us a lot of enlightenment, and then we hopefully can see him and talk another issue one day, hopefully. And then jangan lupa subscribe, like, and comment di YouTube channel BKD Provinsi Jawa Barat as usual. Lalu berita-berita akan bergulir tetap di situ. Dan ini nanti kita bertemu dengan episode-episode lainnya. And then Conor say AJIB. Jabar ikut bicara. You cannot pronounce it because it's really long.
Yeah.
You say AJIB.
Thank you for giving me an easy one. I can do the thumbs though.
Sarangheo.
And kamsahamnida.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.